Our long journey from pain to love. The night of my parents' party was supposed to be a celebration, but for me, it became a moment of heartbreak. The house was filled with familiar faces, relatives laughing, and the occasional clink of wine glasses. It was the kind of gathering where people wore their best smiles and shared their biggest successes. But underneath the surface, judgment brewed like an unspoken rule. I had tried my best to avoid the inevitable questions. What are you doing these days, Lila? Have you settled down yet? My answer was always met with polite nods or half-hearted encouragement. My job as a freelance graphic designer didn't carry the weight my parents' social circle valued. Near the kitchen, I heard them talking. My parents didn't know I was within earshot, but their voices carried over the hum of the party. She's such a low-educated freeloader, my mother said with a sigh. What has she done with her life? She barely makes ends meet. She doesn't fit in, my father added, his tone laced with disappointment. We've done everything for her, and this is the result? At least Ethan and Emma are doing well. I froze, the plate in my hand trembling. My parents, the people who had raised me, were mocking me in front of others. My face burned with humiliation as I quickly made my way to the patio, desperate for air. The cool night breeze greeted me, but it did little to calm my racing heart. Tears streamed down my cheeks as I sank onto a bench, my mind replaying their words. I had always known they were disappointed, but hearing it so plainly shattered me. Lila, a familiar voice called gently. I looked up and saw Caleb standing a few feet away. Caleb was a friend of my younger brother Ethan, but unlike the others, he never looked at me with judgment. He was a veterinarian, known for his quiet charm and the way he always seemed to notice when someone was hurting. Are you okay? He asked, concern etched on his face. I quickly wiped my tears, forcing a smile. Just needed some fresh air. But Caleb wasn't convinced. He sat beside me, his presence warm and grounding. I heard what they said, he admitted softly. You don't deserve that, Lila. Something about his words made the dam break. I poured out everything, the constant comparisons, the pressure to meet impossible standards, and how small I felt in their shadow. Caleb listened intently, never interrupting, his gaze never leaving mine. You're not a failure, he said firmly when I finished. You're strong, talented, and kind. Don't let their narrow view of success define you. Those words stayed with me. In the weeks that followed, Caleb became a constant in my life. He encouraged me to believe in myself, to take risks, and embrace my work with pride. Our late-night conversations turned into coffee dates, and soon we became inseparable. For the first time, I felt truly seen, not as the family's black sheep, but as someone with value. Caleb celebrated my small victories and stood by me during my struggles. His unwavering support pushed me to take bold steps, including opening my own design studio. But the shadow of my parents' disapproval still loomed. Every family gathering was a reminder of their judgment. One evening, after a particularly harsh dinner, Caleb held me close and said, You don't need their approval, Lila. You've created something incredible on your own terms. That's worth more than their shallow praise. He was right. I decided it was time to reclaim my narrative. At the next family gathering, I stood before everyone and announced the launch of my design studio's latest project, a national campaign for a major brand. The room fell silent, and for the first time, I saw flickers of pride in my parents' eyes. Later that night, I confronted them. I've spent my whole life trying to make you proud, I said, my voice steady. But I've realized that I don't need your validation to feel worthy. I'm proud of who I am and what I've built. My mother looked away, guilt flickering across her face. My father cleared his throat, unable to meet my gaze. For the first time, I felt free, free from their expectations and free to embrace the life I had built. Outside, Caleb waited for me. Under the starlit sky, he pulled me into his arms and whispered, I'm so proud of you, Lila. You've always been enough. Don't ever forget that. Our journey wasn't easy, but it was ours. Together, we built a life rooted in love, respect, and the belief that worth isn't measured by others' standards. It's found in the courage to be yourself and the people who love you for it. Lila always felt like the black sheep of her accomplished family, constantly overshadowed by her siblings and dismissed as a failure. At a family gathering, she overhears her parents mocking her as a low-educated freeloader, breaking her heart. Just when she feels at her lowest, Caleb, a kind and understanding family friend, steps into her life. With Caleb's unwavering support and love, Lila embarks on a journey of self-discovery, building her own success and finding the courage to confront her family. This is a heartwarming tale of resilience, self-worth, and the transformative power of love that sees beyond judgment. Perfect for readers who enjoy stories about personal growth, redemption, and the triumph of love.